This game tonight is the pressure on the Dodger catchers because of the base-stealing talents of St. Louis.
There will be pressure on the Dodger catchers, but I don't believe that is the key. I believe the key is how well the Dodgers play defense. They led the league in errors this season, so that's a problem. If they commit errors, give St. Louis more than 3 outs an inning, they're going to have a problem. Not only does St. Louis have the speed, but they have a manager who knows how to use it.
He just doesn't open the gate and let them fly anytime they want. The Redbirds are under control. It is the best 4 out of 7 series. How does that figure in?
Well, I think that's an advantage for the Cardinals because the longer the series goes, the more your weaknesses will show up. The only chink I can find in either team's armor is the Dodger defense.
Are you saying then the Dodgers or the St. Louis Cardinals will win it?
Check with me in St. Louis, and I'll give you the answer.
That is exactly fair, but that's the answer you get here at Dodger Stadium from the so-called experts. They're divided right down the middle. We'll get a hint tonight as we're ready for Game 1. St. Louis and Los Angeles battling for the championship. Now let's go to NBC News in New York.
Nick Leyva. And Johnny Lewis. Trainer, Gene Gieselman. Infielder, Ivan De Jesus. Infielder, Tom Lawless. Outfielder, Andy Van Slyke. Infielder, Mike Jorgensen. Outfielder, Tito Landrum. Catcher, Tom Nieto. Outfielder, Brian Harper. Outfielder, Steve Braun. Pitcher, Bob Forsch. Pitcher, Jeff Lottie. Pitcher, Danny Cox. Pitcher, Todd Worrell. Pitcher, Bill Campbell. Pitcher, Ken Daly. Pitcher, Joaquin Andujar. Pitcher, Ricky Horton. Pitcher, Kurt Kepshire. In the Cardinal bullpen, Randy Hunt and coaches Mike Rourke and Dave Ricketts. The manager of the Cardinals, Whitey Herzog. Tonight's starting lineup for St. Louis. Leading off, number 29, left fielder, Vince Coleman. Batting second, number 51, center fielder, Willie McGee. Batting third, number 28, second baseman, Tom Herr. Batting fourth, number 22, first baseman, Jack Clark. Hitting fifth, number 7, right fielder, Cesar Cedeno. Batting sixth, number 9, third baseman, Kerry Pendleton. Hitting seventh, number 15, the catcher, Daryl Porter. Batting eighth, number 1, the shortstop, Ozzie Smith. And in the Cardinal bullpen, batting ninth, number 30, pitcher John Tudor. Now let's meet your Western Division champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodger coaches, Joe Amalfitano. Manny Mota. Hitting instructor, Ben Hines. And Coach Monty Basgo. Trainer, Bill Bueller. Assistant trainer, Charlie Strasser. Therapist, Pat Screener. Catcher, Steve Yeager. Infielder, Greg Brock. Infielder, Dave Anderson. Outfielder, Jay Johnstone. Outfielder, Len Matuzek. Infielder, Bob Baylor. Pitcher, Alejandro Pena. Pitcher, Carlos Diaz. Pitcher, Bob Welch. Pitcher, Bobby Castillo. Pitcher, Rick Honeycutt. Pitcher, Jerry Royce. Pitcher, Ken Howell. Outfielder, Ken Landreau. Outfielder, Terry Whitfield. Pitcher, Tom Niedenfuhr. Pitcher, Oral Hershiser. The Dodger bullpen, coaches Ron Peronowski and Mark Cressy. The manager of the Dodgers, Tommy Lasorda. Now let's welcome the Dodgers starting lineup. Leading off, number 25, shortstop, Mariano Duncan. Batting second, number 23, first baseman, Enos Cabell. Batting third, number 52, third baseman, Bill Madlock. Batting fourth, number 28, left fielder, Pedro Guerrero. Hitting fifth, number 5, right fielder, Mike Marshall. Batting sixth, number 14, the catcher, Mike Scioscia. Hitting seventh, number 20, center fielder, Candy Maldonado.
Don't get the uniform dirty, Candy.
Batting eighth, number 3, second baseman, Steve Sax. Warming up with the Dodger bullpen, batting ninth, number 34, pitcher, Fernando Valenzuela. Ladies and gentlemen, our color guard tonight features representatives from youth baseball. Billy Keep, age 17, representing Babe Ruth baseball. Greg Isaacson, age 16, American Legion. Greg Petrello, age 16, Tony Colt. Bridget Tandro, age 15, representing Little League softball. Justin Paperny, age 11, from Little League, and 6-year-old Tito Jackson from T-ball. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, to be sung this evening by the First Lady of Song, Miss Ella Fitzgerald, accompanied by Helen Dell at the Dodger Stadium Hammond organ.
so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet it waves o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, my. The First Lady of Song, Ella Fitzgerald, has warmed it up for the first game of this championship series. Vin Scully, Joe Garagiola with a play-by-play after these words from your local station.
Threatening showers in the neighborhood, but so far, so good. Welcome to the National League Championship Series, and welcome to Dodger Stadium. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Well, they say the name of the game is pitching, but other ingredients certainly come into this one, like defense and speed.
Well, pitching and defense always seem to go hand in hand. Pitchers are reluctant to throw strikes if the defense is bad, and defense is always ready if the pitcher throws strikes. But you look at the Dodger pitching, their defense has not been that good, so maybe Dodger pitching is a little bit better than given credit for, and is the Cardinal speed a little bit better than everybody gives it credit for.
And maybe that's a pretty good insight into the fact that John Tudor, in winning 21 games with a better defense, perhaps has had it a lot easier than Fernando Valenzuela, not only winning 17, but having so many errors back of him, walking over 101 and piling up over 270 innings pitched.
Well, Tudor says, if I can keep the ball in the ballpark, even my mistakes, the glove will jump up and grab it. And Fernando, he's got a good move to first. Will that force Whitey Herzog into making a lot of hit-and-run plays rather than straight steals?
And we saw John Tudor clinch it Saturday. Meanwhile, Fernando Valenzuela has not won since August the 26th. He's been plagued with a sore ankle, and for whatever reason, each time he has been given a lead since then, the lead has gone right through his hands, which is not like Fernando.
And there's one other factor with the Dodgers, Guerrero's hand. Now, it's not 100%. We saw him take batting practice. He's not really driving the ball, hitting a lot of balls to the opposite field, which means that the Cardinals will probably pitch to Guerrero and pitch around Marshall if they have to pitch around somebody. A lot of factors in these games.
You know how good the Cardinals are? Well, let's see. They have two 20-game winners. They have the league's batting champion, and they have the stolen base champion. The last time a team had all four of those ingredients was 70 years ago with the Detroit Tigers. We'll be back with a lot more, all coming up right after this.
The outfield for the Dodgers, Madlock, Duncan, Sachs, Cabell, the infield, Socia, Valenzuela, the battery. Dodger infield has made 83 errors this season, 21 more than the Cardinal infielders. The man in the eye of the storm has to be Mike Socia. Everybody talking about how he'll have to stop the running of the Cardinals. But I'll tell you, I don't think that he really is the key man in this ball game. The key man is out on the mound. It's pretty obvious. They have to keep Coleman and McGee off the bases. But the move that Valenzuela has may negate any straight steal, although they'll try anything, the Cardinals. And Whitey maybe go into more hitting and running. But I got to believe that Valenzuela has a better chance to pick a runner off than Socia has to throw him out.
The first observation of the night. You see where Fernando was standing on the rubber as you look at Coleman's numbers? Remember, the pitching rubber is 6 inches wide and 24 inches long. He will stand on the third base side of the rubber. However, during the game, it would not surprise me if, when he really wants to make a play at first, he will pitch from the first base side of the rubber. Now, you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, that means 2 feet less, and it can mean a very close play at first. So we'll try in not only watching Fernando pitch, but if you get Coleman or McGee, one of the rabbits on the field, we'll point out whenever we think Fernando is not on his normal third base side and is rather on the first base. That's where he normally is.
He'll generally move around. A lot of pitchers, when they start him, will do that. You know, when they use the cliche in a game of inches, they're not talking about line drive to just miss or make it. For example, first to second is 90 feet, right? But if the throw is on the second base side, the first base side, second baseman or shortstop can take the tag. It's only 87 feet. So everybody's trying to pick up a little bit of an edge. Bill Madlock is going to be wearing out the spot that he's standing on. He's already on the grass. Something is being delayed here. Fernando doesn't seem to be too happy about something. Rosenbach, I guess.
Well, we're about ready to hook up now. You have 5 switch hitters in the lineup. Coleman, McGee, Herb, Pendleton, and Ozzie Smith.
Another quick observation. You saw Socha say be alive for the bunt. So it's high-ho silver and a cloud of dust as the Cardinals get ready.
Coleman, and what an incredible story he was, being called up from Louisville. He only had 3 hits and 22 at-bats at Louisville when they called him up. But McGee was hurt. Landrum was hurt. This kid was brought up and went on to steal 110. 0-1, the count to Vince Coleman as we started off. Coleman, then McGee and Hurd. The Dodgers with Cabell, Sachs, Duncan, and Madlock, Guerrero, Maldonado, and Marshall. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cabell is deep, so he's not expecting a bunt along first. But up on the edge at third is Bill Madlock. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled away off first down the line, and the count 1-2. Fernando Valenzuela hurt his ankle in Atlanta a month ago, and in each of his 4 starts between Atlanta and the pennant clinching, Valenzuela blew a lead in the 6th inning or later, and he didn't win any of those 4 starts. That's very much unlike him. Just missed. 2-2.
That's the pitch he's going to be trying to get all night long. He uses that screwball to really bait hitters. He's got certainly a good enough fastball to strike him out, and he took a shot at that black part of that plate.
2-2. Fouled away. Psychologically, it would be an edge for the Dodgers to get Coleman and keep him off the base paths the first time, and at the same time, it would give the Cardinals a leg up, indeed, if they can get Coleman aboard opening up the game.
And you can carry it a step farther, too, as we look at where he's standing. Will Coleman run on the first pitch?
2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled away. The Cardinals, to give you an idea of their running game, and I guess everybody knows that they are the runningest team with their 314 stolen bases. At one stage, they stole 35 in a row. I mean, once they get on a roll, look out. And it is the responsibility of the starting pitcher opposite to keep Coleman and McGee off the bases. 2-2. And the Scroogey missed. 3-2.
What he doesn't want to do is the base on balls. There's no defense against that as we look at Lasorda and Peranowski. Peranowski says that Valenzuela gets in trouble when he gets that ball up and misses away high. That's what he watches for. He gets that arm out, the screwball flattens.
High foul down the right field line, peeling off. Marshall coming, can't get there. Now that ball would be caught during the regular season, but in league championship games and in the World Series, there are special seats added, as you can see, and that ball could have been caught on the warning track, but not now. So it's a break for the hitters. 3-2.
In right field, they're almost playing Coleman as if he were batting left-handed. Marshall is really near the line.
And Madlock very wide and about even with the bag at third. 3-2. Fouled away again. So in charting pitches, Fernando, who had worked over 270 innings and could use some rest, has made 9 pitches on the leadoff man alone, and the count 3-2.
When he gets over 100 pitches, that's when they really start to look closely.
High pop foul, and it'll be Cabell, backed up by Sachs, and it'll be Sachs who'll make it. So it took 10 pitches, but they finally took care of the leadoff man, Vince Coleman, on a foul ball. One away.
Number 51, center fielder.
This Cardinal team is an absolute juggernaut. Not only did they steal 314 bases, they scored 175 more runs in the opposition. And, of course, here's a case in point. Look at his numbers. The league's leading hitter, and now goes in the history book as the best switch hitter in the National League. Fouled away. The best average for a switch hitter in history belonged to Mickey Mantle in 1957. He had 365, but would you believe it, Mantle didn't lead the league that year. Ted Williams did. 0-1 to McGee. Right. In looking back head-to-head this year, the Cardinals and Dodgers, the idea of not walking these hitters, Coleman and McGee, in 51 at-bats against Dodger pitching, McGee did not get a walk. 0-2. Got him.
That's the message Lasorda wanted to send over to the Cardinals, is that we're going to keep the jackrabbits off the bases. It looks like a good fastball. Socia lines up outside. Looks like it might have even caught that outside corner. McGee trying to just foul it off. McGee is listed certainly as a good hitter, but the players talk about him being a slasher. He cuts and slashes, and if it's close to the plate, he's going to go after it. But Fernando gets a big couple of outs here.
Tommy Herr with a remarkable combination of a big batting average, a lot of RBIs, and only 8 home runs. First man since George Kell to hit over 100 RBIs and less than 10 home runs, and you go back 35 years for that. Tom hit Fernando pretty well. He went 3 for 8 against him this year. On the fist, and he cracked his bat. He'll have to get another. I could hear that up here.
That is kind of an interesting pitch that Fernando made, because he is reluctant to go inside. He moves the ball in and out, but he is reluctant to go inside, and usually will go inside not for a strike. In contrast, when we see Tudor will throw inside strikes, but I think Fernando likes to move the guys back, but doesn't like to give them that inside strike where they can pull it.
Well, after that workout he got with Vince Coleman now, he has made 8 consecutive strikes. And he is 0-2 on Tommy Herr. Ball 1. Hard breaking ball in the dirt. When you talk about a Fernando good fastball, you're talking about 85 miles an hour. That's his neighborhood. That's where he lives.
But with that screwball, that neighborhood has been upgraded. It's not urban renewal.
1-2 the count to Tommy Herr. 2 down, first inning, no score. Just the start of things. Missed with it high, 2-2.
This 2-2 pitch, he doesn't want to go to 3-2. Now he's been able to really get that outside corner, and we'll watch as Socia sets up there, because the last 2 pitches have been breaking balls, and the pitches that he's been getting, got the first 2 hitters, that fastball.
Herr followed by Jack Clark. Fastball fouled away. A little late getting around on it. So it's still 2-2.
Bears out your point, Vin. It's an 85-mile-an-hour fastball, but you throw that screwball and throw that curveball. You know, that radar gun tells you, like the guy said, he said it doesn't tell us anything our naked eye doesn't confirm, because I know some truck drivers can throw 90 miles an hour, can't pitch. And the other scout said, give me the names of those truck drivers.
I'll take them. I'll write him down slowly. 2-2 to Tommy Herr. One hopper by a diving Madlock, and down the line. Over to get it is Guerrero. Herr going to a second. And the throw into Sachs. He is in there. So a 2-out double for Tommy Herr. And he is 4 for 9 going head-to-head with Fernando Valenzuela.
And he didn't hesitate as we look at Madlock. He gets by him. And Guerrero got over in good shape, but it certainly didn't stop Tommy Herr. Down he goes.
So Madlock diving at an echo. That thing was by him. A double with 2 out by Tommy Herr would bring up Jack Clark. Clark with 22 home runs, 87 RBIs, missed 43 games because of pulled muscles in the rib cage, and it turned out in a sense to be a blessing, because when Clark got hurt, Whitey Herzog had breakfast with Jim Cott, the Cincinnati pitching coach, and wondered aloud if Cedeno was available. Cott talked to Rose. Rose talked to Bill Burgess. And the next thing you know, Cesar Cedeno is on deck. 1 ball, no strike. Scrooge in there.
That says more than just on deck, too, Ben, because as we look at her at second base, Clark, a good fastball hitter. You can throw him all kinds of stuff. You throw him a fastball, he'll fly into action. You've got first base open, but you got Cedeno on deck. Who would you rather pitch to? That's the choice.
1-1. Fastball, full strike. So 1-2, the count of Jack Clark. And there's Cesar. Fernando Valenzuela, 17-10. He beat the Cardinals once without a loss. He shut him out 3-0 way back in July. 6-4 lifetime. 1-2. Just showed it to him off the corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dwight Gooden was once quoted as saying that Jack Clark is the best 2-strike hitter in the National League.
He gets his hacks, I'll tell you that.
2-2 to Jack. Trying to pick up Tommy Hurd first here in the first inning. And wouldn't bite, but it was awful close on that Scrooge. 3-2. Fernando throws 3 speeds to a screwball. That also complicates matters to the hitter.
This will pretty much tell you how he's going to pitch to Jack Clark most of the night, this 3-2 pitch. He has shown him 1 fastball, caught the outside corner, and everything else has been breaking.
And he'll have a look just to see what Tommy Herr is up to. You had better have a look to see what the Cardinals are up to. They have 5 men who have stolen over 30. Tommy Herr has stolen 31. 3-2 to Jack Clark. First inning, no score. Cardinals trying to get off the ground. Plate umpires Dick Stello, Bruce Brumming, John McSherry, Terry Tata on the line. Paul Runge down the line and left. Jerry Crawford down the line and right, and there is ball 4. So pitching very, very carefully to Jack Clark. Lasorda now sees his man put runners at first and second with 2 outs. Tommy has reason to worry now as Cesar Cedeno comes up. And I just read to the effect crying shame uttered by Lasorda. Cesar Cedeno with big numbers. What an addition to the St. Louis Cardinals. And it should be noted that Fernando has already made 29 pitches, and we're in the first inning. So he has runners at first and second. Tommy Herr at second, Jack Clark at first, and he tries to get Cedeno. Ball 1, 1-0.
He'll not get a complete game at that rate, man. No way.
Oh, no, that'd be 270 pitches.
No way. No way.
For next year.
He's going to need a couple hit the first pitch innings.
1 ball and no strikes. The count is Cesar Cedeno. Scrooge hit down the left field line, foul, and the count 1-1. One thing about Fernando, he has walked over 100 batters for the 2nd year in a row, and he even beat the Cubs this year in a game where he walked 8 and got away with it.
And in this inning, he has shown the Cardinals the whole load. I mean, the truck has been loaded, and he delivered it all. He has nothing, as far as trick pitches, changing speeds, or whatever. He's shown them everything.
Herr at second, Clark at first, and there's a looper to Steve Sachs. He will make the catch for the out. So the Cardinals lead 2, and at the end of half an inning, the St. Louis Cardinals nothing. The Los Angeles Dodgers come out.
Club that can keep the double play in order on defense has got a good chance of getting out of the inning, and that's what William D does for him in the outfield.
Talking about getting a good chance out of an inning, look at John Tudor, a 21-game winner, an ERA of less than 2. He matched the all-time record for a Cardinal left-hander, shared by Howie Paulette in 1946 and Bill Sherdell back in 1928. His only loss since May came to Fernando Valenzuela in July, 3-0. He has been incredible. Ground ball to the right side, and Tommy Herr is there, and that takes care of Mariano Duncan. We didn't have time to give you the starting lineup. We might give it to you slowly as Herr blows some bubble gum. Mariano Duncan leading off at short, and Enos Cabell in the number 2 slot at first base. Bill Madlock at third, hitting third. Pedro Guerrero in the cleanup spot in left. Mike Marshall in right field. And Mike Socia behind the plate hitting sixth. Candy Maldonado in center field. Steve Sachs at second base. And Fernando on the mound. A strike. Now remember, Tudor has made 1 pitch for an out. Fernando made 9 pitches on the leadoff man alone. No balls, 1 strike.
That's the thing he does so well. He throws that inside strike because what that does is widen the plate. The plate naturally is 17 inches across, but when you move that fella back, you widen and you got a 25-inch plate. Tudor is basically a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball that sinks and tails and a good changeup. He throws a wide sweeping curve to left-handers, but very rarely. He's in and out and pitches in lanes, very rarely down the middle.
Cabell a comebacker. Tudor knocks it down, recovers, and calmly throws him out. So 2 down in the first inning. And the batter will be Bill Madlock, who was a teammate of John Tudor when they were both picking up checks in Pittsburgh.
Then, oddly enough, I asked Mike Rourke, I asked Whitey about Tudor. What does he do that says, uh-oh, he's heading for trouble? And they both said when he stops using his fastball, that means he's heading for trouble, and they have to remind him.
Yeah, I doubt very much if he knows what trouble means. To give you an idea, he finished off the year by allowing a total of 1 earned run in his final 3 starts. Off speed for a strike, 0-1. Can you imagine that?
And that clincher game that he pitched, by the way, he only used 90 pitches to beat the Cubs on that Saturday we did.
10 shutouts John Tudor had this year. There's a ground ball hard, but right to Tommy Herr, and it's a ho-hum inning for John Tudor. A couple of ground balls and 1 hit back to him. So the Dodgers can't hit the ball out of the infield, guided by the Goodyear blimp Columbia. The pilot is Captain Nick Nicolari from El Toro, California, and this is the 60th consecutive year the Goodyear blimps have hovered over the nation's top sporting events, and this should be one of them. The Dodgers and Cardinals. It'll be Terry Pendleton, followed by Daryl Porter, and then Ozzie Smith. Pendleton a switch hitter. No score in the second, but a dramatic difference in pitches made between Fernando and Tudor. Pendleton was 2 for 7 against Fernando going head-to-head this year. Big chopper right at Madlock. So there's a break. And a throw, a little toe dance at first by Cabell. If you were Whitey Herzog.
Well, that's an experience. I know what you're going to say.
And I'm going to say to you, hey, that guy made 30 pitches in the first inning. Make him work a little, and the leadoff man hits their first pitch. What do you think?
Well, I think he'll talk to him tomorrow, just like that day he bunted the ball with man on first and third.
But why would you let him go up there? I mean, you're not only the great Whitey Herzog, you've got a whole bunch of high-priced coaches to remind that kid.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to plead ignorance, and I'm pretty good at that.
Well, Whitey's one of these 5 out of 8. Here's Daryl Porter for a strike.
You assume too many things in baseball. You would assume that he would say, hey, I'm going to make him work a little bit, but you can't do that.
0-1 to Daryl Porter. Half swing for a strike. You know, Whitey Herzog, 3 times a winner in the championship series at Kansas City in the West, twice in the National League East in '82 and again in '85, so he's 5 out of 8. Without a doubt, one of the outstanding managers in the game. 1-2 the count.
They have really swung around on Porter. Madlock at third base is very wide of the bag. If Porter would hit just a driver off the end of the bat down the line, he may run for 2-3 days.
The 1-2 pitch to Daryl. Breaking ball, got him looking. That's strikeout number 2 for Fernando.
Fernando's been around that plate. He certainly has his good control, and he really freezes Daryl Porter here. All he can do is genuflect. Whoops, how do you do? How are you? What's distracting is when he looks straight up like, whoops, and if you're a batter, you're saying, not up there, pal, I'm over here. And then he closes him to boot, and if you're a married man, you want to call home and say, I'm all right, Mom.
Here comes Ozzie Smith with 2 out in the second inning, no score. Scroogey is hit into left field, base hit. So Ozzie Smith, who just laid the bat on that slow screwball and a 2-out single. Now comes an interesting bit of strategy. with the pitcher John Tudor coming up. A lot of people feel one reason why Ozzie Smith is having such a big year is that they're pitching to him. In other words, they're so afraid of Coleman leading off an inning that they give Ozzie Smith some pitches to hit, where in the past, where he was not hitting eighth and didn't have such a leadoff man, he not necessarily would get even a strike. So here's Tudor, not a bad hitter. 0-1.
Against left-hand pitching, he's not going to do very much, and Fernando should really get the job done with 3 pitches, and Ozzie is pretty much anchored at first base because they do want Coleman to lead off. They don't want Tudor clogging him up.
Cabell holding the corner, and he'll go over there. And again, we're pointing it out, not with Ozzie, and especially not at this moment, but he's way over on the third base side of the pitching rubber. Maybe that point we made to you about the rubber being 2 feet long. Fouled away. You can imagine the difference if a pitcher is on the first base side of the rubber. That cuts off 2 feet of the throw. Then imagine, ideally, you have a left-handed first baseman. In other words, where the glove is closest to the runner. Now you got yourself things going your way. The Dodger first basemen are right-handed, and as you can see, he's still on the third base side. And there goes Ozzie. Ball 1. The throw down, he's stolen it.
There is no way in the world you can come up with any kind of strategy that says this is the time to steal. 2 strikes, no balls on the pitcher, 2 outs. You got your real fast man on, so it just proves these Cardinals will run at any time, anywhere. They're just going to run, and if nothing else, that sends a message, which I'm sure the Dodgers knew was coming. Tough ball for Socia to handle. Big breaking ball. Perfect pitch for Ozzie, who went just straight in.
And, of course, the more times you make the Dodgers handle the ball, the more chances are, because of what they've done this year, that they might make the miscue and just pile this away. Ozzie Smith has stolen third 5 out of 6 times this year. There's a little ground ball to Sachs. To Cabell, and they're out of the inning. They were playing with house money in the sense that Vince Coleman is going to lead off. The end of an inning and a half. Dresses like the middle linebacker for the LA Raiders as he puts on a protective guard for a bad right knee. You also notice his left wrist is heavily taped. This is what happened. As he went into the fence against the Mets, he twisted that left wrist, and it has really wrecked his September-October. He has 1 home run and 6 RBIs since this happened. Watch carefully. He puts the gloved hand out and twists it the wrong way. If he had twisted it backwards, it would not nearly have been as serious as twisting the hands, the palm, towards the forearm.
He may have gone to a lighter bat. He was debating. He used a lighter bat in batting practice because the problem has been he just will not spin into it. You can watch him hit. He's hit with power to the opposite field, but he's just not been able to really pull the ball. He's had to overcompensate.
Guerrero last year hit 16 home runs, and of course this year he tied Steve Garvey's output with 33, and one reason is the way he holds his bat. Watch where the bat is, straight up. See that? Last year and for quite some time, he had the bat almost parallel to the ground, and when Manny Mota got him to hold it straight up, suddenly the home run started in June. He's developed a bad swing, and one reason, and he's first to admit it, he wanted so badly to break Garvey's home run record and wanted 34. He's developed all kinds of bad habits. Plus, of course, with the injury, he doesn't have any pop with the bat.
That's the biggest culprit because you try to favor it and you do things you don't ordinarily do.
1-1 to Guerrero, followed by Marshall and then Socia. Strike inside corner, 1-2. Great pitch.
Tudor really pitches lanes, inside, outside lane, rarely down the middle. He just spots the ball so well. 6 pitches in the first inning, all strikes. 28 for Fernando.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Guerrero. Way out in front. I'll tell you one thing. They talked about Dodger power. You can discount a goodly portion of it from Pedro Guerrero, I believe. He is not nearly the hitter that he was before he hurt himself. He is a shadow of himself. Take a look at this.
Look at Porter shift outside. Ball is out of the strike zone coming in. It's low, and yet Guerrero trying to protect it, and you see that hand fly off that bat immediately.
So he is hurting, and the team is in bad shape as Marshall hits the first pitch to Terry Pendleton. And just like that, you have 2 out in the second inning, and Tudor has retired 5 in a row.
Well, you talk about Pendleton hitting the first pitch. The Dodgers are not exactly making Mr. Tudor work. He's throwing strikes, and they're jumping on the first pitch.
We'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. He was an unsung hero until the last month of the season, when people realized just what a contribution he made. Scioscia wound up the regular year hitting .296. You have to go back to 1955 to find a Dodger catcher who hit .300, and that was the great Roy Campanella. Scioscia did a magnificent job, 7 home runs, and of course blocks the plate at risk of life and limb as well or better than anybody in the game. 3-0.
Isn't it strange? Tudor tried to throw the sidearm curveball twice. Scioscia found himself behind. Now he's 3-0.
And it's in there, 3-1.
He blocks the play, Vin. He is a human dead end, is what he is.
Maybe later on we'll show you a dead-end collision between Jack Clark and Mike Scioscia. Line drive down the line, foul, and out of play.
I'll tell you something. Behind the plate, he is improved. He's not exactly a patsy. I mean, he had a bad streak in there, but he's got some pretty good numbers as far as getting base runners.
3-2. Popped it in the air into shallow left center field, and it's Coleman and McGee, and it'll be Vince Coleman. So a routine second inning. That means John Tudor has retired 6 in a row. The end of 2 no score. Win 1 of the 1985 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Visa, accepted worldwide for shopping, dining, and travel. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by McDonald's, it's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. It is the second time around as we go to the 3rd inning at Dodger Stadium. No score. Vince Coleman, followed by Willie McGee, and then Tommy Herr. Coleman fouled out to Steve Sachs after 9 pitches. First ball swinging pops to Sachs.
Ben, while we got a chance here, just want to get this in. There was some speculation there might be some jockeying to fix the infield between first and second to slow down the Cardinals and doctor around home plate. I asked almost all the Cardinals, and they pretty much said the same thing. No, the infield is fine. It's hard in spots. It was hard yesterday, and home plate is a little bit hard. You'll see some high bounces, but there has not been any doctoring that can be noticed.
Well, here's Willie McGee, the league's leading hitter. 0-1. As we said in the opening, the Cardinals are so great. They have the league's hitting champion, the stolen base champion, and 2 20-game winners, all on the same team. Little fly ball to center. Maldonado was there. To find those ingredients to make up a team, you have to go back 70 years to the 1915 Detroit Tigers. It's quite a team that has arrived here from St. Louis. Yet it should also be pointed out, in their 12 meetings head-to-head, the Dodgers won 7 of the 12. And in 8 of those 12 meetings, the Dodger pitchers allowed the Cardinals 3 runs or less. So again, we get back to pitching. Tommy Herr doubled by Madlock, who is shortened up at the bag, and bunt foul. So Madlock was looking bunt.
Cardinals are liable to try anything to get something going. And I tell you, Tommy Herr had a good year, and boy, it really bothers me when I hear people say, well, he gets a lot of fastballs to hit because of Coleman and McGee. Well, maybe he does, but when he gets it, he knows what to do with it. He's been a solid hitter. Just this year had one of those outstanding years.
0-1 to count to Tommy Herr. Check swing. He'll look at first. No swing, says Bruce Fleming, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Take another look.
He's very decisive. I have to agree with Bruce.
I have a lot of admiration for Tommy Herr. You know, following the 1982 World Series, He had 2 operations on his left knee, 1 on his right knee, and yet you watch him as the middleman at second base on double plays. He doesn't give an inch.
No, he doesn't.
2 balls and 1 strike. 2 down, 3rd inning, no score. The Cardinals had 1st and 2nd with 2 out in the 1st inning. Ozzie Smith stole 2nd with 2 out in the 2nd. The Dodgers have been retired 6 in a row. 2-1. Big chopper to Duncan. Short hop. Throws. Gets him.
He's not trying to cheat to steal the pitch. Just get the ones that are coming to him.
What about coming out of a crouch? Does that not take the low ball, low strike away because he's suddenly obscuring the umpire's view?
Not really. That's not cheating, though. That's maybe circumventing the rules, but that's not cheating.
Just brought it up. Bottom of the 3rd. No score. The game's within the game. And it'll be Candy Maldonado, Steve Sachs, and Fernando Valenzuela. A little soul-searching on the part of Lasorda as to who should play center field against Tudor. And Candy pops it up into that powder blue. A trio of Cardinals, and it is Cedeno. Tough to see that ball. Tough to get a jump at this stage.
Must have been tough because the word is that Willie McGee takes everything in California that's up. You see McGee, he just backs off. Cedeno has to take it all away.
So a good play by Cedeno. 1 out. That means Tudor has retired 7 in a row. And here is Steve Sachs. Saxy hitting .279 for the regular year. He did very well after an off season. Just 1 home run, 42 RBIs, and not an extra base hitter. Despite all of his running speed, you do not look for extra base hits from him.
He's been hitting a lot of balls to the opposite field, and he has pulled Pendleton in at 3rd base with that fake bunt.
1-0. And he promptly hits one into center, and there's the Dodgers' first hit. Now you have a very, very interesting bit of strategy for Tommy Lasorda for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the Dodgers led the league in sacrifices, and you have the pitcher coming up. However, he has sacrificed less with Valenzuela than any other pitcher on the team. And you figure this is going to be a low-scoring game. So the question for Lasorda, do I want Valenzuela to try and sacrifice? Do I want Clark anchored on the bag and let Sachs have a shot at stealing? And let's see. And he almost had Clark coming into the plate. Sachs averages about 25 stolen bases every year. And the bunt on the chalk goes foul. So we got the first answer to the question. They were going to have him bunt.
And the Cardinals really were not looking for the bunt per se. I mean, nobody was charging hard. Clark laid back, and so did Pendleton. As you watch Valenzuela really checking the Malfitano to see if he wants to switch off. Fernando really waits until the last minute. He's not a bad hitter, and looks like he had a pretty good bunt. Deadened it well, but foul ball. The starter likes to switch off if they're charging hard and let him hit.
Well, they'll keep an eye on Sachs. With 1 out in the 3rd inning, no score. John Tudor and Fernando Valenzuela. Game 1.
Two times he threw over there, and they're hoping that Valenzuela would indicate by just a slight movement up the bat handle that he's going to be bunting, but I was watching his hands that time, didn't budge.
Sachs was leaning that time. He had most of his weight on his right leg. That seemed to indicate that he was going to go. They might even try hit and run with Fernando. He is the team's best hitting pitcher as far as average. And he got the bunt down. So it's a sacrifice, Daryl Porter to Jack Clark. So one part of the theory held up. The Dodgers lead the league in sacrificing, and they do it.
Valenzuela does so many things by instinct. I mean, you can talk to Peranowski, his pitching coach, and he'll give you chapter and verse plays that he's pulled off on the mound. And a play like that, he never once tipped off what he's going to do. I don't know how he learned or where he learned how to play, but wherever, he learned well.
So Fernando moves him up a notch. With 2 out, the Dodgers have Sachs at second, and the batter will be Mariano Duncan. It shows you really what a crapshoot it is. Willie McGee and Tito Landrum are hurt, and the Cardinals bring up Vince Coleman. The Dodgers had Steve Sachs hurt in an exhibition game against the Angels. Baylor was hurt. Russell wasn't right, so they brought up a kid who should by rights have spent the year at Albuquerque, and it turns out to be Mariano Duncan. And he's from that same town in the Dominican, San Pedro de Macorís, that has produced a lot of players, including several eye-catching big league shortstops. Tony Fernandez, Rafael Ramirez, Alfredo Griffin, Julio Franco. And now Mariano Duncan, who grew up idolizing Cesar Cedeno, of all people. And now he's battling against him. 1-0. Turned it over, got the corner.
You may have noticed Sachs as he took the lead. It's a unique way that it does. Now watch him walk towards the outfield, and he'll just kind of stand there, and now as he takes his lead, he'll walk towards the pitcher and then towards the back.
Maury Wills taught him that. That is a theory that Wills teaches all of the Dodger young runners. The point being, you should always be in motion when the pitcher is delivering. So watch, you'll see Sachs never break from a standstill. He'll always be moving.
It's also an optical illusion, and go back farther than Wills. The great Jackie Robinson did it better than any of them. He looked closer and got farther from him than anybody, faster than anybody I ever saw.
2-1 the count. Sachs on the walk. Foul tip in the count, 2-2. Mariano Duncan, a switch hitter and a much better right-handed batter. He wound up the year hitting .286 from this side, but he really paid the bill on the job training as a left-handed batter. He hit only in the 220s from the other side. So deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Third inning, no score. Ground ball to third, right to Pendleton, who cranks it up and throws to Clark. So the Dodgers